Hello, hello. How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining. Just going to give it a couple of minutes to see if anybody else jumps in. So I know there's a few of you watching. Would you like to comment? Let me know who's in today. What you've been doing, what you're vaping on. Are you having a drink tonight? You having a good evening? I'm vaping on last week's build, which is the D Pro and the Descendant by Rigmod. How's it going, Hanky Panky? And also got the Bench Warrior, the OG Hammer of God, and I've got the Bonza Pro RDA on that. I'm alright, Hanky Panky. How's the weather been? Where you are, it's been warm here, but I don't think it's been the same for everybody. So we'll get started. So as always, we've got a drink. One is my usual coffee stout from Aldi, and one that I had last week is a coconut macaroon stout. And we'll crack that open. And what we'll do is, after we've cracked open a drink, I'll show you what I'm building on. Sounds good, sounds good. The odd job. Not much of a borrow user. I do have one borrow, but until I can spend some decent money on a decent borrow and a decent bridge, I'm just currently on the Pulse Mini and a Mob Mini. Speak up, watchers. Yeah, exactly. Some people just watch, they don't like to comment, which is all right. I don't always comment on lives that I watch, but I'm really happy that everybody's here. So let's crack open a beer. So I'm going to go with this one. It's one that I featured in last week's stream, and I do really like this one. So I've got it again. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to do some proper beer shopping. So let's have a look at this percentage. So that's a 6%. I'm going to probably be on my arse. These have been in the freezer, so they're nice and ice cold, along with my glass. Carry on talking, Hanky Panky, that's not a problem. So, no special glass, it's just my favourite glass. It's been in the freezer. Let's go for the pour. So, what I tend to find as well with stouts is the stronger the volume, the more tastier it is. So, I'll just pop that there just in case I have to show. So, cheers, guys, everybody who's watching, who's dipping in and out, and hashtag replay crew. Cheers. That is really nice. So, I'm going to pair it with the Bench Warrior. I do have a custard. I've got some juice that I'm testing at the moment, and it is a custard, a flavoured custard, but that's all I can tell you. So it should go well with this, you know, double coconut macaroon. So let's have a pair. Now that's made it taste a bit like coconuts and cream. That's nice. Really nice. So I'm going to slow down on that because I'm going to start talking gibberish very early. Not that I don't talk gibberish anyway. But yeah, cheers guys. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing a simple coil build. So for all you exotic coil builders, it's probably not going to be the stream for you. But if you're new or just getting into maybe multi-core builds, this is perfect because I want to do a series build and use it on a mod. But like what I always do is I want to show you the RDA that I'm using, make the coil, okay, and then put it on a device. Yeah, gibberish. Probably already talking like that, Hank Funky. So, I'm working with one camera. I'm hoping that I don't have any problems tonight. And the reason why I say that is, as amongst my passion of vaping, I also like anything Apple. And I'm currently beta testing the new software that's coming out in September. So I'm hoping that it runs well. If for whatever reason I do have to cancel the stream because my phone's playing up, stick around. Within 5 minutes or so, I'll start up another stream like I did last time, a part 2. But hopefully I won't have any problems. Working with one camera, so I will be moving you about. Okay, so let's get into position like we normally would do. So I'm just going to bring you over here so you can see me. And I'm just going to adjust my camera view so you can see me a lot better than what you can now. So there we are, that's a bit better. I'm going to dip you down just a bit. I'll dip you down even more and just adjust my chair. So assuming you can hear me all right and everything. And if you're watching, don't forget to hit that like button as well. It doesn't cost you anything. So we're going back around about 10 years. So about 2015, 2016-ish. So some of you might know this, new vapors might not. But it's this. So I'll keep mine in these pop tubs, keeps them nice and clean. So what we're building today is the OG Twisted Messes RDA. And this is an authentic, it is not a clone. So by Twisted Messes and Vape. And that's my serial number there. So I don't normally show you what comes in the box. But basically you get your RDA as you would normally with a Delrin chuff cap that you can take away from the top cap like that. You get a metal chuff cap, but that is connected to the top piece. You always found the air holes too low? Maybe so, just I haven't technically had any problems with it. I just do put my coils up a bit high so that the airflow goes underneath the coils. And then your airflow ring at the center there, which you're just with your top cap. And you can do this in a dual or single coil configuration. I will be doing a dual coil. But I do still enjoy this RDA once in a while. And then also you do get a 510 drip tip as well and top piece as well. So you can put your drip tip in there or your 510 preferred drip tips. I don't mind the chuff cap, but I've always used the chuff cap. So let's have a look at the deck. It is 22 millimeters, so not like your modern RDAs, which is normally 24, 25 millimeters and above. So just pop that off there. And that is the deck. So it's a triple post design with a T-post in the center. Okay, and these are back when the RDAs were hollow posts. So it didn't hit something dead at the bottom of the screw, it just kept on going down there. So if you're doing round wire builds, most likely, look at that O-ring just there. So if you're doing round wire builds, you would probably snap your lead if you tighten them down too much. And that's the deck. Very deep, insulator there. Normally you would have problems with the center post spinning. I have never had that problem with this. Say double O-ring just there. And the 510 pin just there. So that's the RDA we're going to be building on today. As I said, I'm going to be doing a series build, which is going to be fuse Clapton, and I'm going to be using 28 gauge dual cores and 36 gauge on the outer wrap. So I know it's a simple coil build, but like I say, if you're just getting into it, or your hashtag replay crew, you know, this is perfect. And obviously when you're dealing with a series device, obviously your ohms need to be low. Ohms need to be high, not low. Don't listen to that. Ohms need to be high. And because I'll be using mech mod, a series mech mod, then obviously you need to be more careful. So my cores are going to be Kenthal, 28 gauge Kenthal, hanky panky, and my outer wrap is going to be 36 gauge NI80. So this is the 28 gauge that I'll be using, just Kenthal from Crazy Wire. So I'm using 2 of them for my cores. And then NI80. The reason why I'm not using 26 gauge NI80 because the ohms will probably be too low for what I want to build. So that's what I'm going to use for my outer wrap. So let me get set up. I do have my little table just here. So I do like to have my, when I'm making my cores, I like to have it at eyes up, about eyes length. So in my line of eye, in there basically, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't. The beer's probably kicking in now. So I use this Daedalus Pro machine. I used to use it. I don't now. It takes the fun out of building. But if you've got a normal cordless drill that'll work, or a wired drill, as long as it's got forward and reverse, and obviously you can control the speed. So we'll be putting that on there. Core holder, which is what I normally use. That's from France, from the Friendly Coil Factory, or Handy Coil Factory. No, Friendly Coil Factory, I think. So that's what I use. So I'm just going to pop that into my chuck, ready for me to go. So I use a nutcracker just to keep it in place, like so. And position this to basically where I want it on my little stool here. I clamp it down by using one of these that I got from Toolstation, or Screwfix, I can never remember. And I use that just to clamp down my drill to my bench, just so it doesn't move anywhere and it stays nice and straight. I use a simple swivel device, which is this. Let me just move this camera up a tad so you can see what I'm doing here. So I use a swivel like this, basically a block of wood on a vise, and I've got some swivels, some ball bearing swivels. Now this did come with the Daedalus Pro kit, that's why I use them. But if you're using a normal drill and you want some swivels, use ball bearing swivels. So you can get these online, eBay, or even a fishing shop, but make sure you do get the ball bearing swivels because they work the best. Have another drink. Yeah, I think I got mine from Aldi or Lidl, hanky panky. So I don't know if that's where you got yours from. But yeah, so got some markings on my bench, as you can see there. So I'm going to pull off a couple of pieces of wire. So I will need some wire cutters for this, just some normal wire cutters that you get in a coil building kit. If you don't, you can always buy these. They're just flush cutters or craft flush cutters like that. And some pliers. I use these curved ones, teethless pliers. So 28 gauge will be fairly thin and easy to pull. So I won't have to put it in the chuck of my drill to make it. I'm forgetting my binoculars. I just call them binoculars. That's what my granddaughter calls them. Just it's easy for me to see because I am blind. And plus I can get a close-up view of what I'm doing as well. So I'm just going to pull some pieces of wire out. I want about 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters, which I believe is 12 inches, is it? If you're American. So I'm just going to grab the end there like that. I'm going to pull some wire off. I'm going to measure roughly about there, and then what I'm going to do is holding one side with my pliers just there. I want to go as far to, well, I want to try and go as far to the end as possible. And this is why these binoculars come in handy. So again, I'm just going to pull roughly about that. I'm going to hold and then I'm going to pull. Yes, I do, but don't be telling people that hanky panky. I do actually use it when I go for a pee. So I'm going to give it a little tug so it pulls a bit, and then you end up with a nice straight piece of Kenthal there. So I'm just going to pop this on my bench. Be very careful because it's a soft wire and you want to try and not get any bends in it whatsoever. So I'm going to cut off 30 centimeter piece. I won't need it all, but I do like extra for my clamp and swivel, so I've got extra wire to play with. And again, I'm going to, again, roughly 30 centimeters and then give it a tug. Pull it, give it a tug, bit of resistance, and you'll have a straight piece of Kenthal. So I'm going to roughly cut at 30, give it a little tug there, and lock it down. You can get some online, hanky panky, if you need some. There's loads of places that actually do it. So anybody that's in, please comment. It's only hanky panky doing all the talking here. So I'm going to open my core holder and clamp my wires in there. So there is a little center divot here in the center, but I just want to go slightly off center because I'm using two wires. But this just helps keep your cores nice and straight, flat and parallel next to each other as well. So here we go. So I'm just going to grab my two pieces. So I've got one there and one there, trying to make sure that I do not bend it in any way. So I've got them parallel like so, like that. Don't know if that makes things. So I've got them parallel next to each other like so. So like I say, I want basically the divot to be sort of like in between the wires, just so it holds straight. So I'm going to pop that in there and then lock that down as center as I can get it, which I'd say is about there. And then I'm going to lock it in. Now, you don't have to use one of these if you don't have one. I just use it because I have it and it makes it easy for me. And that's a wire guide. And this wire guide also came with the RDA.s Pro. And it just, like I say, it keeps them nice and flat and parallel as I'm clapping in. But if you don't have it, then it's not a problem really. You don't really need it. Keep an eye on the chat. Yeah, I think that's how they used to do it though, Hanky Panky. When they were making coils, they didn't have all these things that helped you make coils. You had to do with what you had. So it was a drill, a lathe. I know a lot of people make lathes into coils, coil machines and stuff. I've seen it, and there's a few places abroad also that do them already made for you to go, and adjustable speed. But I suppose you can't go wrong when it's homemade as well. I think I love stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my hand down the wire, keeping the wires next to each other and parallel. If I need to make any adjustments like I do here, I'm just going to snip the end off. And that's one of the reasons why I do extra wire. So I've got plenty to play with if I need to cut any off, or if I need, obviously, for my swivels and stuff. So I'm going to pop that in there like that, keeping it still parallel. I'm going to pop an L into here, making sure I've got both wires nice and taut and parallel. And then I'm going to just put an L in it like that. Like that, keeping it all parallel. And then I'm going to bring my swivel across. I'm not going to lock it down completely. I just want to hold it in place while I load my swivel. So I'm going to pop it through the swivel, keeping it as parallel as possible. I'm pulling away, keeping it taut. So I'm pulling towards the swivel. And then I'm going to pop that round there, keeping it nice and tight. And then I'm going to just wrap that wire round there just to lock it in like that. Making sure everything's nice and parallel, which it is. So this is a right easy coil build, especially if you're a newbie, because you don't have more than 2 cores. You're not dealing with alien wires or anything. So it's just a basically simple like a Clapton, only using 2 wires. So I want to keep it nice and taut, but not too taut. I still want my swivel to also move. So I am a bit sweaty. It's warm here, so you'll probably see me wiping myself all the time. So as you can see there is a bit of resistance to it, but it's nice and taut at the same time. So I'm just going to give this a little spin just to make sure that my swivels move, which they do nice and freely. So that's what you've also got to look out for, is making sure that your swivels still move. If you've got this too tight, your swivel won't move, but that's one of the reasons why I use 2. Just in case one fails, one will still spin, and vice versa. It's very rarely you have 2 swivels that go out at the same time, but yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this guide moves freely, which it does. Moves nice and freely. That's not bad at all. And obviously my swivels are moving as well. And it's all parallel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you in close so you can see me load everything up and see how it's done to begin with and how I load it up. So I'm going to bring you nice and close round about here. I'm going to dip you down just a bit, like that. Get you a smidgen bit closer without dropping my camera or my phone. And get the so I want to lock this in, and then I want to sit like that. So you can see that nice and close like that. That's perfect where I want it to be. So I just want to move this around so I can see in between the wires, because that's the way I'm going to load my 36 gauge in there. So what I would normally do is stick a nail out so I can do it on here, but because I'm using 2 wires, I can just put it in between there, which is basically what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to separate the wires, and then I'm going to move it all the way up there. I'm going to use my guide just to help me push it all the way up to the chuck just there. So as you can see there, I've just jammed it in there. So just like doing a Clapton, doesn't matter which way you are comfortable wrapping, whether it's over the top or underneath, just do that. Just do what's comfortable with you. So like any Clapton, whether it's single coil, dual coil, triple coil, as long as it's just a normal Clapton, keep your wire at a 90-degree angle. Okay, keeping it not too tight, but tight enough that it's obviously going to stay in place. You don't want to do it loosely like you were doing a decal for an Alien. So I don't want it tight, but I don't want it slack either. So I'm just going to get a few wraps going. And as long as you've got a good enough pressure, obviously, on your wire, that should just sit together nicely, as you can see just there. That 3 or 4 wraps there are nice and close together. So let's go. So I'm not putting too much pressure on, like I said. I'm just thinking, and obviously with this you can obviously let it go a bit or do it fast. If you mess up or double back onto yourself, not a problem at all. Just undo, reverse your drill and go back and correct it. It's not an Alien, so it's not like if you mess up you've got to stop. So I'm just going to build up speed. So I've got this on full pelt or full power that this drill will go to. So like that, I'm going to keep it going, and then I'm just going to move you like that. Obviously with my glasses and stuff, I'm checking the consistency of it, which is nice and tight. So I'm just going to just quickly stop there, just so I can adjust my focus so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. There we are. That's the focus. And then very carefully just start again. And then I'm doing it, like I say, full pelt. Now, I did mess up just here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reverse my drill. which is about there. Now the wire will have some kinks in it, but it won't affect it as long as you go slow. Make sure you put your drill back in the right direction. Start slow, just to get it going again, holding it a bit taut than you would normally. There we are. Now there will be a slight imperfection in there, but not to worry. It's not going to affect it too much. So I have messed up a bit there. So I'm going to go back and move on a bit. So not that it's going to affect your vape too much. Obviously, I'm doing coils for myself. I'm not doing it for somebody. So it doesn't have to be perfect. So drill in the right direction again. I'm going to start slow, holding my spool just a tidgy bit tighter than I would, just until I get past these bits that are still a bit weird. So I'm just doing it slightly slower than I would do normally, just to get past this until my wire that's feeding to it goes back straight, because obviously it's kinked a bit because it has claptoned. So I'm holding it a bit tighter just to keep that consistency going. Once I don't see those ripples in my wire, I will build up speed again. Trying to keep out on the chat. Thank you whoever's jumped back in or jumped in. So I'm getting to the end now where it's not kinked anymore. So I'm going to build up my speed again because I'm back to straight wire, 90-degree angle, and then I'm just going to let it rip again. So I'm resting my hand on my bench, 90-degree angle, and my wire guide is also keeping everything parallel as it's wrapping as well. So keeping at that 90-degree angle is perfect. And I'm just going to keep going, keeping a nice tension onto my spool. Not too tight, not too loose, just nice enough for it to obviously wrap around those two cores nicely. So I'm going to keep it going all the way to the end of my wire, all the way to the spool. I should have more than enough wire to do my coils, but like I say, anything extra does not get wasted. I do use it if I've got enough to use in my borrow device or my borrow bridge that I use. That's fine. I'm hoping my microphone also is cancelling out the noise of the drill and I'm not talking too fast, but that isn't always seems to be the case. Sometimes you can still hear the drill. But keeping a nice tension on it. I'm getting to the end of my spool now. It's kind of out of camera view because obviously my chat just there. So I'm going to stop about there. I don't have to go all the way to the end because obviously I've got enough wire there, and plus I don't want to waste any wire. So I'm going to, so it's not like anything like a clapter, like an alien or anything. I'm not going to leave a tail on it, but I am going to cut it flush like so. I'm just going to get rid of that wire because I won't need it. And I'm dropping wire. as well. Spools off. There we are. So let me get you in close again so you can basically see this wire as it's built. So let me get this focused and locked in. So there we are. That's not good. To be a bit closer. Let's have a look. Better. No, it isn't. Do I need to go out a bit? So this is not playing ball. I'll try and get you in a bit more closer just in case you can see it just a little bit better. Like that. Does that work? Oh. Nope. Move out a bit. Just trying to get this to focus so you can see this a little bit better, which it isn't. Go out a bit more. Focus on here. As I'm saying, I do run beta software on my phone, which I currently am. So might not necessarily be anything but my phone just playing up. Let's try it now. So that is a lot better. So there we are. That is my fused Clapton 28 gauge and 36 on the outside. As you can see, there is twists and everything in there. Don't worry, it'll come out in the wrapping. So I'll just move down that wire so you can see. Hopefully it stays nice and focused. But this is a fine wire as well, so you might not see every detail. But yeah, nice consistent wraps all the way down to where I finished there. So that is the coil build. So let me move you out a bit, move you up so you can see what I'm doing. Fix this, take the autofocus off so you can see me. Like I say, it is warm, so you'll see me wiping my brow. Right, let's have a drink. Let's hope you're all drinking something. Cheers. Thanks for everybody that is joining. So, and we'll have a vape on this. So, if you're watching and you haven't got the Bonza Pro, or you're thinking of getting one, get it. I can rate this till the cows come home, and I like this in every mode that I've used it in, whether it's squonk, non-squonk, dual coil, single coil. And the way I've got this set up currently at the moment as well is I've got a dual coil in there, but I've got the single coil reducer, so I've got two 2.5mm coils in here using the single coil reducer, and I have got the airflow just shut off one row there, and it's perfect. It's beautiful. And that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop this end just here that you cannot see. So I'm just going to chop that end, take my guide off. I don't want to lose my guide, so that goes straight back in there and away. And then I'm going to chop this end off. I can chop this end off flush like that. So using this this higher gauge wire will be a lot springier than using 26 gauge or 24 gauge or anything like that. So 28 gauge and above, you're going to have some spring to your coils. And I'm just going to put this away, just a bit of housekeeping, just to keep everything nice and tidy. So as always, I lose stuff or I can't see stuff, especially with this mat as well. So I'm just going to undo that and remove the wire that's in there. Put everything away. So I know this might be just a tidgy bit boring, this bit. Steve, how we doing, mate? Thanks for dropping in and joining. Tracy Hughes, thanks for joining again. Thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate it. So if you've just joined, I've done just a simple coil today because I want to use it on a series device. So my coil build that I did do today was 28 gauge core fuse Claptons with 36 gauge on the outside. So as you can see there, just a fuse Clapton, but a smaller. It's all right, Steve. Thankful enough, it's not my phone that's playing up to this week, or not yet. But yeah, just a simple fuse Clapton. And if you've just jumped in, I am building the OG Twisted Messes. So move my swivel away. Already talking gibberish. 6% drink, which is this, which I did have last week, but it's that nice. It's I've had it this week. Well, Tracy, I don't know if you've been watching all the time or just jumped in. Rewind it back. Like, this is why I do these type of videos where I actually show you how I make the coils, just for people like you, Tracy, who might be interested in making some coils or getting into building. Obviously, most streams use pre-made coils. I don't actually make them, so I'm doing something different where I make them. So you can obviously see what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what tools I'm using, and hopefully you've got tools at home, everyday tools that you can use, i.e. a cordless drill, you know, a vise of some sort, and just having the wire. So if you're wondering where you get wire or stuff, I do use the company that my 36 gauge is at. So if you look back, you'll be able to see the 36 gauge. You do right, Steve. You do right, mate. Like I say, not everybody is like me who gets the pleasure and fun out of making your own coils. It's just a satisfaction that I find is brilliant. I get a lot of satisfaction making them myself, obviously building myself, knowing what goes into my build that I'm using. So I'm going to be doing a 2.5mm ID. So I'm using just my Coil Master jig. So you can get these with a kit, or you can buy these jigs, you know, cheap enough and separate if you need to. Before I had these jigs, I used to use a Curo Concept coiling jigs, which is more or less the same thing. So I'm using that. I'm not using my end piece to roll it because I don't want to mess my outer wraps of, obviously, the fused Clapton. So let me get this a bit focused. So I'm going to go one side. There is twists in it, but with the wrapping they will come out. It is a soft wire after all. So I'm just going to hold the flat side against my coiling jig, and then I'm going to do some wraps. So I'm going to do about 8 wraps. I think should be nice for a dual coil that I'm doing. So start it off there. So your first wrap is always probably the most awkward wrap to do. So just be careful. So that's 2 wraps, 3 wraps, and 4 wraps halfway there. So 5, 6, exactly, yeah. I mean, this is the thing, Steve. You know, even if you're not going to be making your coils yourself, I suppose you get a bit of insight to what the people you buy off do on a daily basis and in obviously bigger quantity. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need 2 more wraps. Like I say, thin wire, so it is going to be very, very springy. So like that. So like that. So I've got about 8 wraps just there on that coil. Now I do have enough wire to snip this off, because normally what I'd do is if I didn't think I have too much wire, I just take it off and wrap it from the opposite way. Okay, so I know I've got plenty of wire to make another coil like this, so I will just snip it. But before I do, I just want to make sure I've got the right amount of wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is 8 wraps. So I'm hoping my dual coil will come out between 0.4 to 0.5 ohms. So that's my first coil. So second coil, same again. I'm holding the flattest bit to my jig, like that. First wrap is always the most awkward wrap. So 2 wraps. And like I say, if it's bendy or twisted, thin wire like this, don't really worry about it because it will come out in the wrapping. So that's 4, 5, 6. So it is warm, so my hands are a bit sweaty and slippy. So that's why I'm struggling with the wrapping, but it is, like I say, very flimsy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's my second. And again, I think I've got enough just to make a small borrow coil. So they're my 2 coils. Let me get this thingied up like that. So they are the fuse Claptons just there. So I've got 8 wraps, 2.5mm ID, dual coil, there, nice. So they're ready to go. Let me just move that out of the way. So let's get to building. So I'm just using my building mod. This won't be the mod that I use. It's just for reading my ohms and stuff. So if you've got a regulated mod, it's good for building because you can fire it safely and what have you. So that's the deck, like so. Just going to put my coils over here so I can see them. I'm going to adjust my camera so you're a bit closer to what I'm doing. So you can see what I'm doing and how I'm installing everything. Just check on my time and just a quick check here, which I'm not doing bad at all. Right, let's get these posts open and let's get this built. So, like I say, this is from a time when coil post holes were hollow. So if you were doing a round wire build, you could easily snap, obviously, your wires. So post holes are 1.5 millimeter hex screw. So I'm just going to undo these post holes. I don't have to do them all the way. It's not a big coil, even though this RDA was built for those big, massive cloud chasing builds. So if I was doing like a round wire on this, I'd do like a 20 gauge or a 22 gauge build on here. But as you can see, the post holes are nice and big. So you can fit some nice coils in there. I believe these are about 2.5 mil diameter, those post holes. Just there. So using my jig or my coiling rod is what I'll use to mount the coils on there. So I'm going to grab one of my coils, which is there. So pop one in the negative and then the other one in the furthest center post just there. There we are. So I want to put it about there, just so I've got enough room to obviously manipulate, bring it to the center, and obviously pull it up as well. So I'm just going to very lightly clamp these down. And the reason why I'm only doing it lightly, like I say, these post holes are hollow. So even with a build like this using thin wire, I can still easily clip my leads. So today, you lot have it easy, because back then we didn't have post holes that hit a blank block once it stopped, once it clamped your coils down. So I'm just going to clamp them down like that. I'm going to move it to the center and obviously move it up. I do want the coil high to obviously accommodate my airflow. So I'm just going to do a little measure there. So if I do that, that's how I'm measuring it basically. So that tells me that my coil is going to be above the airflow. So that's just a bit of a guide of what I need to do. So what I'm going to do there, obviously, with you moving your coils and manipulating them stuff, it can undo your post holes just slightly. So that is loose. So I'm just going to clamp that down as far as I'm willing, which is about there. And I can always go back later just to clear stuff up. So that's one coil installed. So I'm going to snip my leads off. Snip my leads off just there. Like that. So that's the first coil in. So with the second coil, I'm going to be obviously pre-cutting my center lead pre-cut my center lead to where I want it roughly, just so I don't get in the way of the coil that's already in there. So I am going to trim this lead just a bit. So as you can see, one lead is shorter than the other. So the shortest lead is going to go through the center one, and hopefully there's enough clearance obviously in there for where I want my coil to be, which is perfect. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to tighten or clamp down that center one, and then I'm going to just manipulate this a bit just to give me a bit more leeway where the negative post is, which I want it to be round about there. And then same again, I'm just going to lock it down to begin with. I'm not going to go full pelt and clamp it down really tight. There we are. And poop, or not poop should I say. So I've got my alarm going just to remind me to stick my battery bank on. So same again, I'm going to pull, I'm going to push to the center, and then obviously pull my coil up. I want it roughly the same height and everything as my other coil, and as center as possible, which is about there. Now I know one is slightly higher than the other, which is not a problem. This is why you can manipulate and get things exactly where you want it to be. So that's a bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again finally clamp down my wires. Make sure they're nice and tight, which they are, and then boom. So it's that coil. So I'm locking that down. That won't go down anymore, but I'm not obviously overdoing it because I don't want to snap my leads as well. And then I'm just going to go around and make sure the other ones are still nice and tight. So thanks for sticking about, whoever's sticking about. So I'm going to do some more adjusting now that I'm completely locked in, which is about there where I want it to be. Just going to move that up a bit more to the center, a bit more to the center, and out. Like that. So like I say, very springy wire, and we should be good round about like that. I know it's not perfect, one slightly higher than the other, but that shouldn't make a difference. So I'm just going to take this off, or I'm not going to take it fully off, I just want it so it's not connected, and then I'm going to reset or zero out my mod. And then lock that down. Is it a new coil? Yes. So at the moment it is resting at a 2. Hang on a minute, let me switch this so you can get a better look. Yeah. So this is currently, as it stands before heating and pinching, 0.2, but that will come up. So let's do some heating, strumming and pinching. Get all the hot spots out, get them glowing from the center out on both coils. So I'm starting low at just 30 watts to begin with. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask as I go along. I will be keeping an eye on the chat. So I'm just going to introduce heat to it. I'm not going hell for leather or going too aggressive with heating it up, because as you can see, that tail on this side is heating up and the same on that side. It is doing exactly the same thing. So I want to strum it. I even want to pinch it. Some people don't like to pinch. I pinch. It's just what I'm used to doing and what I've always done. So there we are. Because a bit of pinching, strumming and even pulling can help get those hot spots out. So this coil is getting to where it needs to be. This one needs a bit more attention on this side. So I'm going to keep strumming. And then as always, with this sort of RDA, an older style RDA, Birdman, thanks for joining, my brother. It's good to see you in chat. Thank you for joining. So if you're just joining, I'm building the OG Twisted Messes. Got a series build on here. I will be using a series mech. So we're going back around about 10 years on both. So thanks for joining, my brother. It's nice to see you. So I'm just heating these up, getting stuff out, getting all the hot spots out. So I'm still going to go round and check my post, because obviously with the heating of the wire as well can also get these not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So they have gone a bit more loose. Let's get that in there. That's not a problem, Birdman. That's not a problem at all. Thank you for dropping in or dipping in and out. Hope you're not working too hard. So there we are. I'm going to introduce a bit more heat to it. I'm going to go 45 watts. Let's crank that up a bit. Sometimes cranking it up can also help. So there's not so much any hot spots in here. It's just it's not playing ball. So I'm just going to stretch it out just a bit. Nice. So that has sort of helped. I'm gonna keep on strumming. I'm just going to make sure that nothing's touching that it shouldn't. But keep working it. It will eventually come out. As you can see there, we do want it glowing from the inside out. As you can see, that coil is heating up nicely on that side. This one is getting there, but slowly. But keep strumming and introducing heat. Give that a little pinch. There we are. We're getting there. There we are. Birdman, I love you, my brother. I do that, especially if I'm using a mech, which I will be using. And obviously it's going to be in series. I actually do that. run it higher and higher to a wattage, which is probably going to be the max I'm going to run it at, just in case, like you say in your comment, there's any hotspots at high wattage. You are the master, and you always will be the master, Birdie. That's why I love you. So we're doing good there. So like Birdie says, which is what I was going to do, I'm going to slowly introduce some more heat. So I'm going to go 60. So I can't see no hot spots in this at that wattage, and it seems to be heating up nicely. So I'm going to crank this up to 80 watts now. There we are. That's nice. I know it's a bit hard to see on camera, but there is definitely no hot spots on that. So I'm going to whack it straight up to 100 watts. I know. I've seen what you vape, Birdie. Especially when it comes to mech mods and stack mech mods. You're not like us normal people that use just a stack section. You like to use half a dozen stack sections. I know your revival from Mod Maker. I know you've got plenty of stacked pieces for that. As you can see, that's 100 watts. I am going to take it up to 125. And there is no hot spots. 29.4 volts, I know. So anybody that's watching on the replay or is dipping in and out, as Birdie was saying, when you're running at a high wattage, you need to make sure there's no hot spots at that time. Now I'm at 125 watts. I don't know how well this will come up in the camera, but you can see that little lightning bolt just there. So I want to make sure that comes out and it's burning, and there's a little hot spot here. That's looking good, and one just there. If you get hot spots and you can't get them out with your... John, thanks for coming in, mate. Appreciate it. Nice to see you. So we're building the OG Twisted Message, Twisted Message RDA 22, the V1. I'm getting a series build on here, which is just a simple fuse Clapton 28 gauge Kenthal with 36 NI80 on the outside. So if you get situations like this, just run your coil and jig straight through it. Also, keeping an eye on these post holes. So if you're a more seasoned vape, like some of us that are obviously in the chat as well, you can just give it one of them. So it needs a bit of strumming. So you're probably thinking, if you've joined, why I'm doing this at 125 watts. I'm increasing the heat, as Birdie mentioned in the comments. If you're running at high wattage or even a mech device, always run it up to what it would be to make sure that there's no hot spots that can occur at that wattage. Love, Birdman. Thank you for coming in, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in. Love. And I'll see you soon. I'll probably see you on Instagram with your posts. So this one's running a bit janky. There we are. That's a bit better. So Yes, it is. I just didn't want to say old, really, to be fair, John. Or should I say, I won't say veteran vapors because that even makes us more sound more old than what we are. So I am quite happy with that. I'm just making sure there is no hot spots in there, which there isn't, and that's at 170. So I don't think that'll be too bad. So it does say 0.2 ohm coil there. Obviously that is going to be different once I take it off and then obviously reset it. But that is a bit hot, so I'm just going to give that a couple of seconds to cool down. Hope you lot have got something good to drink. I've got a stout, macaroon stout. And that's why I'm talking gibberish, because it's obviously higher percentage in alcohol. So that's getting there. I'm just going to poke that in there just to release it. So like I did, I'm just going to unscrew this off so I can zero out my mod, which is check atomizer. And then I'm going to pop it back on. Is it a new coil? Yes. Which is perfect. So that final resistance has come to 0.39. So originally I did say it'd be, I'm hoping for this coil to be between 0.4 and a 0.5, which is perfect to run on a series mech, which is what I'm going to be doing. So cotton. Cotton I'm using is this at the moment. It's just what I've got. So I've still got this. My preferred is Kendo Gold or just ordinary Muji cotton. I can highly recommend Firebolt cotton as well. That's nice and fluffy and clean. So I'm just going to zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing just a little bit better. So let's get this wicked up. So 2.5mm coil. So that should be maybe just a tidgy bit too much. So I'm just going to pull, because it's going to be running at high wattage, I don't want it too tight but not too loose. So I'm not doing something right tight like what, like a Scottish roll wicking. So I'd say that was about perfect for what I want. So here, so I've got a good amount of resistance but not too much. That's perfect. So other side, I'm going to do exactly the same. Just going to pull this cotton off. Sounds really nice. Oh wow. Now that is going to be something special, I'm sure. I'm sure I'll see one of your posts when you get it, John. So same with this side. Now this is just a tidgy bit too loose for what I want it. So get that in there. There we are. And same again, I'm just going to pull it gently through. That's what I want it. Just not too much and not too less. Just enough resistance in there. So I'm not really going to thin this out, I'm just going to fluff it. So I'm just going to measure roughly to the bottom of the deck and then cut using my small scissors here. So that should reach with a bit of fluffing. Same with this side. Sorry, I am out of camera. So I'm just going to measure it like that, give it a trim like that. And then, like I said, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to fluff it out. I'm not thinning it, I just want it fluffed to help with that, help with the wicking. So I'm just going to swoop these into the deck. And same with this one, I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to swoop it into the deck, obviously keeping enough space underneath the coil for airflow to run underneath it. So same with that side, boom. And then I'm just going to tuck it to the side. So that one's just a tidgy bit longer, so I'm just going to give that a little haircut and a trim, because I don't want to pack the deck. I just want it touching the bottom, just so the juice can feed to those coils nicely. So that's us wicked. Obviously, when I've juiced up as well, I can clean this up just a tad, because on camera it doesn't look right. But yeah, basically like that. You want enough space under the coils like that. So juice I'm going to be using today is some juice that I got in the post that I'm testing. I sort of can't talk about it, but it's not top secret like my G14 Classic juice. So I'm going to be using this. There's no markings on it or anything, but it does this. And so there we are. It does contain nicotine. Let's get that in there. So it's this, just 60ml bottle of juice. Now this is a peanut butter one. It is got another flavour in there, but that's how I'm going to keep it. It's got peanut butter in it, and obviously another flavour. So I'm not giving you the full details of it. Let me just move that down a bit. So I'm just going to juice it and feed the coils. So I'm going to drip some juice on there on both coils, hit that fire button just to pull that juice in, as you can probably see there straight away. As I press the button, those coils suck that juice in there, which is what I want it to do. I want plenty of juice on there. This is going to go on a series, so I want it to be absolutely juiced up and ready. Smell of peanut butter on this is absolutely amazing. So that's nicely juiced up and ready to go. I can see. Vaping Brummy, how's it going, bud? No worries, brother. That's fine. I don't know if I'm ever. Let's get rid of that. if I'm ever conflicting with stuff, so people might come for the replay. So what I'm building today is the OG Twisted Messes 22mm. I've got a series build on here. Fuse Clapton 28 gauge Kenthal core, 36 NI80 on the back. It has come out to a 0.390, and that's nicely juiced and ready to go. So I want to make sure that my airflow is open on both sides, which it is. And then these RDAs are not like your normal ones. It doesn't have a tab or anything. It's just a matter of putting it in front of your coils and sitting it down. So I want it about there, and I'm going to have my airflow all the way open like that on both sides. It is open. So that's the RDA. So what I want to run this on is also 10 years old as well, so around about 2015, 2016. And it is a Mac. So I need to grab two actually, and I'll explain why in a second. So, the Noisy Cricket. So this is the OG Noisy Cricket from Wismec and Jabo. There we are. Now you might notice as well that this looks a bit different on top. Now on top here I have got a Fat Daddy upgrade kit, which gave you a better button and a non-hybrid connection for it. So I'm not going to be using this setup because it's not OG. So I'm going to take this off because this upgrade kit did come with a tube that you can actually use as well. So this is all clean and nice and smooth. So the difference with this switch to the original, which I will do side by side comparison, is as well as that notch in the center, you do have a perforated edge for twisting. Your threads are copper instead of brass, that's on the original, and your center pin there is also brass, but it's smaller. So when you get this upgrade kit, it comes on this tube here, which is a mech that you can use, and that's the original that came with the Wismec, with the Noisy Cricket. They're the original connections, the hybrid connection. So I'm going to remove that because I want to go completely OG with it. I want to use the original connections, and once I've got this I'll talk about it a bit, because back in the day it was considered very dangerous, or people found it dangerous, should I say, and it wasn't. It was user error, basically. User error, and I'll tell you why. So this is the OG switch. As you can see, compared to the upgrade switch, your center pin is bigger, and like I say, your threads are brass rather than copper. Now, the reason why people used to say these were dangerous is because they used to press the button and get nothing. Now, yeah, that can happen, but the thing is though, that your firing pin there is connected to Delrin there, and your center pin, as well as making contact with your battery, has also got to make contact with these threads, which is on the inside of this button where this switch goes through to connect to this. So there is a bit of play in it, so it's not touching, so it doesn't auto fire. So if you, for whatever reason, press the button dead on where it wasn't touching the sides, you were going to get misfire. But if you touched it so it was touching, or you had to press it down and sort of like push it as well. So this bit made connections with the threads on the inside to make that full connection, if you understand what I mean. Otherwise, there is maybe a millimeter of space around the fire switch and the inside of these threads here. So for whatever reason, if you pushed it dead on where it's not connecting with that, you're going to have problems. So that's where people went wrong. But I've never really had any problem with this. I have cleaned this up. All the threads are nice and clean. And that is the firing switch. So like I say, compared to the OG firing switch, as you can see, there's no perforation on there. And you had to use some 20p piece or something like that to screw it down. With the upgrade kit, obviously you have that nailing, so you can do it by hand if you want to. So hybrid. So if you're not familiar with the hybrid, there's no center pin in it. It's direct contact with the bottom of your RDA to your battery. With the upgrade kit, it's not a hybrid. It's got that center pin in the center. So you could run non-hybrid safe tanks and stuff and RDAs using this upgrade kit, but still get the lovely power of the series mod. So basically that's how your upgrade kit came. It came with a tube that you can use with obviously the upgraded top cap, and you can still use this in the tube like that. You can use it. So you can still use it as a mech as well. So you've got an upgrade kit and basically a mech with it as well. So when you're using a hybrid connection, don't use sub-ohm tanks on there. Just don't do it. Your pin has to be protruding on the RDA that you are using. So that's the thing as well with these old RDAs as well, is you always used to have problems with the airflow coming loose. So as you can see there, airflow has sort of come loose. And let me readjust and tighten down just to make sure there. So that's it. So your hybrid needs to have that protruding pin there. So if you're having a hard time understanding what I am talking about, let me pop this up. So you can understand a little bit better. So the one on the left, you do not use on a hybrid connection, which is direct bottom to battery connection. You need to be using the one on the right of your stream, right of the screen, the RDA on the right, which has got that copper pin protruding from this 510 threading on the outside. If your RDA or RTA is like the one on the left, don't use a hybrid, don't put it on a hybrid. If your RDA is like the one on the right, it's perfectly safe to use it on a hybrid device. So don't use sub-ohm tanks because the center pin is floating, and you don't want that because then you end up getting a hard short and you're going to have problems. So with this, I'm going to screw my hybrid top cap on there. That's the underneath bit. It's got a bit of an plastic insulation on the outside for the battery. So that wants to be where the battery is. That top bit there is where you want to be screwing onto your RDA like that. So I'm going to screw that on first like that, as you can see there. So I'm screwing it all the way down to the bottom of the RDA. As you can see there, the center pin is protruding from those threads, so it's safe. So that's the first bit. So I've got some batteries that have been charging. Use good batteries, because when you're using a series, that's why your ohms have to be high to obviously accommodate your batteries. On a series mech mod, series configuration, so it's like that. It's not parallel. So you get the ampage of one battery, but the longevity of both batteries in a series. Now, if you're using a parallel setup, that's when you can build right low, because you get twice the ampage but the power from one battery, if you understand what I mean. But it splits it against the two. So if you're using a regulated mod, it doesn't matter, but if you are using a mech of any type and it's in a series configuration, you need to make sure that your ohms are 0.3 ohms and above. Don't go any lower than that, because then you're going to stretch your batteries and exceed your amp limit on your batteries, and that's when you're going to have problems. So I'm going to pop the batteries in. So I'm going to have one facing up in there and one facing down in there. So I've got one positive up, one negative, and this does move about with the little thingy at the bottom. Now with the upgrade kit, you do get another piece like that, which is this piece here is what you get to use with that upgrade kit. It's just slightly better, but I'm using the original bit at the bottom because I wanted to go OG with it. So positive is where you screw your atomizer on. So I want to screw that on first and all the way down. So that's all the way down there on that. And now I want to screw in my switch. Now I have cleaned it so all the threads are nice and smooth. This Noisy Cricket as well is also an authentic, it isn't a clone. So I'm just going to screw that down. I'm not going to screw it down tight. I just want it to make a connection, which it has with the batteries. It's not getting warm. It's not auto firing or anything. Now I'm just going to give it a quick Can you hear me now? I don't know why that's gone off. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Charles? No. Can you hear me now? Well, obviously it's connected. Right, so this is my second mic. It might be that one's not charged. Let's see if that, for any reason, goes off. So, no, that's gone. It looks like my other one I didn't charge. So I'll put that on. That needs to be charged, which I'll put that on charge right now. Right, hopefully that'll stay on and you can hear me a bit better. So I'm going to just, like I say, just tidy up just quickly, just to make it all nice on camera. I'm going to pop that back in there. Just going to move that out so you're a bit closer. Cheers. Cheers, Charles. I think my other mic that I have, I don't think I charged it from last week's stream, so it's gone off. So thankfully it's working good because, as you know, you've got iOS 26 that you got on your phone. I have, and it seems to be working. I haven't had no issues so far, so hopefully it'll stay that way. So let me just pop that away. Put my building mod away, put some tools away. By the way, this is the only time of the week that my bench and station is ever clean. During the week, it's an absolute mess because I'm doing stuff, I'm building stuff, and it's just, it looks shabby as hell. So that's that. Put that away. Got that. Right, I'm going to move you. Oh, don't forget to put my small scissors away. Right, that's that. Put my binoculars away. Right, we're nice and tidy. So I'm going to move you back over there and we'll have a vape and talk about it a bit. Let's get you back up there. Let's move you back up to here. Make sure you're within the markings. You've got a nice wide view of my room just there. If you're ever wondering what my room looks like. There we are, that's that. So I'm gonna move my chair about, which is not helping my back. I do have back issues and they haven't been good today. And I'm also a bit drugged up on painkillers as well. So let's get you back to here, which is a bit closer, which is better. There we are. And you can see me a bit better. And I want to move this up. So like I say, I am working with one camera. That's why it's all janky and stuff. So please bear with me. So, noisy cricket. I'm going to crack open my other beer, which is my go-to stout from Aldi, which is just a coffee stout. And this is a 5.2% volume. It's very wet because it's been in the freezer. So earlier on in the stream, Charles, I was doing that. It is one from last week, but I really do dig this one. It's really nice. And I think with this one and this peanut butter juice that I'm testing at the moment, which is all I can tell you about, it's got more than peanut butter in the juice, but that's as far as I'm willing to go to tell you what it is. So open this with my Blotto bottle opener. Get that back on there like so. And my glass. And let's go for a pour. If you can see me pouring. There we are. So these have been in the freezer, so they're nice and cold, ice cold. Is it going to fit? And it's just fit. There we are. So cheers, coffee. Wow, really nice coffee. So I'm pairing it with this, like I say, peanut butter juice. It has got other than peanut butter juice in there. Twisted Messes, 22ml OG, V1, Noisy Cricket, OG. Both of these are not clones, these are both authentic. Got a dual coil, Fuse Clapton, 28 gauge core, 36 outer wrap, 8 wraps, 2.5mm ID dual coil, ohming out at 0.39, which is perfect for series. So let's give this a nice pair. So oh wow, it's brings out the coffee and that, and the peanut butter goes well with this coffee. And that's kicking like a champ as well. And spicy. Yes. Brings out the coffee really nicely in that juice. Makes the peanut butter in the juice more creamy, as well as the other ingredients that is in this. So let's drip some more. This is a series, so it will need juicing very often. So, like I say, these were considered dangerous because people had problem with the firing button. I'm proving to you now that it's all about hitting it on the side. If you hit it dead on, it's not making contact with the threads, if you understand what I mean. So you need to fire it slightly like that. But like I say, I do have the Fat Daddy to run non-hybrid stuff on this. So let's have a toot. And the flavour is absolutely amazing. It is my go-to build for something series. 28 gauge cores, 36 wrapped on the outside. So same again, I was hitting it dead on, so I wasn't getting a fire. Human error. If I hit it on the side, you get that connection. That hit me a bit, not enough juice. Do you even vape, bro? So dunk a load of juice in there. Again, if you're using the original one with just the original button that it come with, don't hit it dead on top. Hit it on the side and you'll always get a connection. Extremely tasty. No, Charles, I'm an amateur. It's alive, innit? So so I keep showing because it's an excellent device. I wish I had a chance to get the V2. I'm always on the lookout for the V2, but you can't beat the OG Noisy Cricket, which is what I do. I tend to go for the OG stuff or the V1 stuff. Boy, that peanut butter. So if you've got one, like I keep saying, if you have an OG that you do not use because you're worried about, obviously, the misfire. Now, look, I'm doing that now. I'm pressing on the button and I'm getting nothing from it. Press it on the side. I'm getting power from it. Yeah, I'm always looking for the V2. I used to like that because you could run it in series or parallel. And does anybody ever remember the Hell's Gate, which had 2 RDAs on top of a device? I wish I could find a Hell's Gate. I cannot find one anywhere. So every time I press the button on the side like that, I get a connection. I hit it dead on. I don't always get a connection. So I like that. I'm hitting it dead on. But if I switch my, so I'm not getting anything now, and I'm pressing on it. You can see my thumb. But if I adjust my finger a bit, I get a connection straight away. Which I'm doing now. Beautiful. Nothing's getting warm or anything, apart from the RDA is getting a bit warm. But the rest of the mod is perfect. Excuse me. Obviously, with a series and a 22mm RDA, you've got to drip. It'll drink that juice in no time. And like I say, this juice that I've got, that's peanut butter and something else that I'm testing at the moment, goes really well. And you need a chuff cap as well for it, for a build like that. But originally it did come with a Delrin chuff cap, a metal chuff cap and a 510, as well as some different coloured sleeves to go on for your airflow. So basically that's the retro setup from today for this week. It's just a beautiful, beautiful device. It's nice and comfortable in the hand. It's a bit, I don't know, would you say that's a bit stealthy? It's a bit stealthy. You can hold it in your hands. I do have big hands. But yeah, it's right comfortable. And even if I'm using it not that way or that way, as long as I hit it on the side, I'll always get a connection, a firing connection. Absolutely great mod. Absolutely great. So I'm not going to waffle on anymore. Obviously, there hasn't been many in the live. I get most of my views on the replay because I don't know if I'm clashing with anybody. But if this is the sort of thing you like, maybe learning how to make coils, looking back on some old stuff that you had to build back in the day, because to be fair, you've all got it easy these days with better RDAs, stuff that is more accessible, because I do own clones, because back then there was only a certain amount made, and once they'd gone, they were gone, and then cloners used to obviously rip it off. Now, as well as me having clones, I do have good copy clones, like a one-on-one. But any clones that I do have, I always try and source an authentic to have an authentic. So with that said, if this is something that you're interested in, or you're just curious about learning how to make coils, or just curious at what we used to vape about 10 years ago, because this setup is about 10 years old. The Noisy Cricket 2015, OG Twisted Messes is about 2015. If this is the type of content that you like, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting the bell icon and setting to all. So anything that I upload, you get a notification for. Hit that like button and also share with people that might also be interested in. I do a live stream every Wednesday, 8 p.m. UK time, or GMT +1 summertime. So I'm here every Wednesday to share my collection with you, and hopefully meet some people, have a bit of chat in the banter, answer some questions and what have you. But like I say, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It don't cost you anything. Also comment as well. It helps with those algorithms and gets the videos out there. Because let's face it, YouTube does not like us vapors. And I will mention now, I'm not selling anything. I'm not promoting anything. I'm just educating people. So the Noisy Cricket, OG, and the Twisted Messes. And I'll leave it there, guys. And I'll end the stream there. I do have a couple of buttons to double click, so I'll get that ready. So guys, I will see you on the next one. Thank you for joining. Shout out to everybody that's joined, dipped in and out. Shout out to the hashtag replay crew, and I will see you next week. All being well. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.